Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Oh, it makes me so happy to hear this theme song again in my earphones.
Yes.
In the studio here at AFTERBUZZ TV. It's been way too long. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Bob's Burgers after show here at AFTERBUZZ TV. We are talking about Season 6, Episode 6, The Cook, The Steve, The Gayle, and Her Lover.
What a
which
mouthful.
In of itself is a phenomenal title. If you guys have not done so already, please be sure to head on over to iTunes. You can also listen to us on iTunes, subscribe to us there, leave us reviews, let us know what you think. If you're listening on iTunes, you should head it over to YouTube, give us a thumbs up, leave comments on the video, and of course, if you are watching right now, we are following along in the live chat.
Yes,
and
are.
with that hashtag ABTVBobsB, which you can use to talk to us throughout the show, throughout the week, throughout your life.
Really good.
I am Emma Fyffe, your host. I can be found all over the internet at Emma Fyffe, which is my name. And today I am joined by my phenomenal co-host who has thankfully returned. Librarian stole her for a while, but now she's back. Alexis Torres.
Hey everybody, I'm back and I'm ready to talk about one of my favorite cartoons. Well, I mean, it's one of my favorite cartoons that's currently on the air. You can find me all over their social media at aTorres890 in the chat. On the hashtag. I'm so excited.
I know.
I'm like shaking.
And
it's
this
like
was
kind of crazy.
and this was such a strong start to the year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for real. And this episode had me. I think I have abs of steel now because I was laughing so hard.
Exactly. And this, to me, this episode just really encapsulated everything that is so fantastic about Bob's Burgers as a show. Mm-hmm. That the reason that you're laughing so hard is because it's just a slight exaggeration of a real life scenario.
Yes, completely, especially with like the reactions and just the one-liners in general. They're so quick that you have to sit there and be like, wait, rewind. What did he say? And it just everything about the writing was great, and I missed it a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, this episode was one that started off, and so at the top of the episode, we see Louise in Mr. Franz's office.
Getting in trouble all over
again. Always. And for a moment, I was like, okay, where are we going to go with this episode? Especially because the subsequent scene took a hard turn and they're all in the restaurant and it's Bob being like, I got this new friend. And Teddy's like, I want to hang out with your friend.
Teddy was so upset.
I know.
I've seen Teddy mad before, but not this mad to the point where he's fake laughing and like yelling at Tina a little bit. And he was like, I'm sorry, Tina, I'm sorry. And I was like, whoa.
Well, because ultimately, this was an episode that was about communication and relationships in relation to a bunch of the different characters on the show. Mm-hmm. So let's start off by talking about Louise's story because she was the first person that we saw at the top of the episode.
Yes, please.
So basically we're introduced to, and we already know from watching past episodes, but if you'd never seen Bob's Burgers before, you could watch this episode, you see her in Mr. Franz's office and you go, okay, she has got a strained relationship with the guidance counselor.
Yes, that's not even like there's no other word to describe their interactions at all. That it's a very strange relationship.
Well, because you just have these two characters that don't see eye to eye
ever
at all.
Ever.
At all.
Yeah.
And now I want to ask you, did you have a guy, because when I was in elementary school.
Oh no, we're sharing.
This is why I love this show. It just relates so much to real life. So when I was in elementary school, our guidance counselor, it was, and again, slight exaggeration of real life.
Yeah.
Our guidance counselor did not have weird yarn dolls that
or weird puppets
that she had made herself, but she did have puppets.
Shut up.
Yeah,
Are you serious?
She had a bear and I think a raccoon.
Oh my god.
Maybe that she would use to like act out stories.
Lord
because
have
puppet
mercy.
therapy is something that's very common in child psychology.
Yeah. I love how you know this.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yes, the more you know.
Yes.
Thank you.
I have a lot of psychologists in my family, so that's why I know.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. And also, you know, and also friends that experienced that as well as a kid, be it in actually like therapy or just in when their guidance counselors just came into their classrooms as elementary school students to be like, hey, we're the guidance counselor. If you ever want to talk about what's making you sad, come see me.
Oh my God. See, I feel bad because my guidance, because I was a kid that moved around a lot. I usually told everybody that my family were gypsies and we just moved around a lot. But no, like when I finally got to junior high, I finally had my first interaction with a guidance counselor because I was bullied when I was in school. But it was a little weird. He wasn't like that lovey-dovey, like, express how you're feeling. He was like this sports macho guy. He's like, Alex, what'd you do? What's going on? What's happening? He's like tossing a football like as he's talking to me, and I'm like, I feel like you don't understand what's happening. He's like, you just gotta go out there, take it one step at a time, do one of these, and I'm just like, you don't understand me at all.
So definitely not Mr. Frond. But again, there's that parallel again between like you and your guidance counselor did not see eye to eye, much in the way that Louise and Mr. Frond, completely opposite people.
Yeah.
So of course, we learn when they're having this big dinner party, which Gayle is bringing a date to. Now, we already knew that Gayle was dating Mr. Frond.
Yes, we did know that, but it was just funny because I kind of forgot about it until he showed up, and I was like, wait, what? I was like, oh, nope, we talked about this.
Well, I actually didn't forget about it, so I was actually really happy to see him show up because when they said, oh, you know, Gayle's got a second date with some hot new dude, I was like, oh, what happened to Mr. Frond?
So I guess maybe that's what the writers were doing because we were gone for so long. They're like, maybe they'll forget, and we're just gonna poke right back at them.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, because I mean, that was a big plot point in Gayle making bobsled earlier this season. Yeah. So Mr. Frond, of course, shows up at the house, and Louise is determined to get rid of him.
Oh man, I love how she was like slowly trying to push him out of the front door, and he's like, "Oh, that's my foot! Ow! Ow! No, that's my foot!" It was great. I just loved it.
Yeah, and she employs a number of different tactics to try to rid them of him.
The mafia witch?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was Jean's idea.
That was Jean's idea. Yeah, I know.
But still, I thought it was great. I was just like, how are you going to be able to do that? But Jean always finds a way.
Yeah, well, I mean, and Louise had suggested either in the mafia or a witch, and it was Jean's idea to just make it a mafia witch. And so, and so, you know, they started off by simply talking, like trying to interject into this dinner conversation that was happening, and convince Gayle that that Mr. Frond was in the mafia or a witch, or I can't remember what the other thing Jean said. Did you notice that?
Oh gosh, I forgot. It was something about his butt. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was like his butt is weirdly shaped or something.
Yeah, and then was it Tina who was just
or his face kind of looks like a butt? I don't know.
Something along those lines. And Tina's like, I did notice that. Yeah. Like, I love how she just kind of popped up. She also had really good lines this episode.
Yeah.
And she wasn't even like, she wasn't like really a main concern because she was just kind of in the background like Tina does. But like, I love how, I mean, we haven't gotten to Xander yet, but I love how she was just really not feeling it with Xander, which I don't blame her. He's 10 years old.
Yeah, well, I mean, no, and that's what, like,
super hot.
Yeah, I mean, and it was so nice to see sort of like Tina's own attitude turned against her. Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, part of what's so lovely about Tina as a character is she is this weird.
She's a determined young lady.
Yeah, she's very sexual in the way a 14-year-old girl is. You know what I mean?
That phrase was perfect.
Yeah, like there's no other way to put it. Because again, it's like she very much embodies that young teenage girl just starting to kind of think about sex for the first time, and you know,
she's in that teen romance, Twilight kind of not really phase, and you're like, what's happening?
Right, but where it's beyond romance, and she acknowledges that there is this physical side of it.
Oh yeah, like the fact that she keeps a butt bank or whatever in her right in here is how she puts it. So I'm like, yeah, it's just another version of a spank bank, but it's a butt bank.
Yeah, and she writes erotic friend fiction.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
With like, what was it, like horses, Jimmy Jr. and some other things. I'm like, all right, girl, you get it.
And everybody just wants to touch each other's butts.
Yeah. What a world we live in. What a world to be alive. I get you, Tina.
Tina's world.
Yeah, I love it.
But it was really funny to see when Bob brought up the idea that his new friend was going to be bringing his son.
His man crush?
Yeah, Bob's man crush. Yeah, it's very true. Was going to be bringing his son along with him. That Tina, of course, her instant reaction is like attractive.
Yeah. or whatever. She was like, draw his body type to me.
Can you draw his body type?
And I was just like, that's weird. And also, like, was a teenager got it going on or something?
Yeah.
And then, of course, it's little tiny 10-year-old Xander, who sounds like Jimmy Jr., but a little bit more airy, which is saying something, and just really loves his lips for a 10-year-old.
I know. And is a kleptomaniac.
Crazy to me. Then I love how, like, immediately Linda's like, where did my Costa go?
Yeah.
I was just like, wow, we were getting into it real quick.
Yep, it was great.
Loved it.
So you get circling back to Louise's story and the next major tactic that they employ. So basically, at the beginning of the episode, we establish that Tina is learning Spanish.
Oh my God, this whole scenario, I was like, okay, it was just a one line. It was so quick that she was just like, hey, Gene, can you help me out with my Spanish? And he was just like, yep, sounds good to me. I thought we were never going to come back to that until that great, I wrote it down, it was amor por favor. Greatest, literally, if you guys could have watched how Emma and I were reacting to this song, I think literally we couldn't breathe at one point because it was so good.
Well, it's because, again, the writing was so smart. Because, okay, so first of all, we'd already gotten the idea of, okay, Tina is studying Spanish. Here's why we introduced that idea in this episode. And we've established that Tina is just beginning to learn Spanish. And all of the phrases that she sang in this song are like first day of Spanish lesson.
Yeah, I was like, okay, we're in Spanish 1. She's a freshman. Like, that's where I feel like we are at right now, where she's like learning how to say, hola, Tina, ¿cómo estás?
Yeah, it was like, hi, how are you? Where's the bathroom?
Yeah.
It's like what the whole song actually
like
translated
your
to.
hair is very something. I was like, el perro, something. And I was
Yes.
just like, what is going on right now? These are the most random phrases. I don't think I even remember doing this until like way into Spanish. But I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, no, to me that was completely genius, just the way that was written.
Oh my God, it was great.
And yeah, because the idea was that they were trying to scare Gayle into thinking that love was terrible and you should just
I love how
be on your own.
Yeah, and Bob was just like, I don't think that's what that means. Louise, stop, please.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So before we get into, we'll sort of can talk about all the conclusions all at once at the end of the episode. So that's kind of where Louise's story sort of ends in that with the Spanish song and also her, of course, stealing the yarn doll
that was made from his dead grandmother's shawl.
Yes, Mr. Frond, in order to prove his
undying
love for Gayle, made her a yarn doll replica of herself.
And apparently Gene did not recognize. He's like, who's that woman who's sitting on our couch?
Yes. No, that was great when they're like, I think it's on Gayle.
I was like, but I love it because it had the little fanny pack and everything.
I know.
It was he put a lot of hard work.
Listen, there was a lot of thought and effort put into the craftsmanship of that doll.
I'm proud of you, man. That was great.
Yeah, no, it was lovely. So basically, Louise steals the doll as part of her master plan for Gayle and Mr. Frond to not get together.
How did you feel about Mr. Frond having alcohol for the first time and getting kind of drunk and getting sick immediately?
I mean, if I'm not Gayle, but if I were, I'd be like, oh, I don't know if I can date you lightweight.
See? But no, I feel the same way because I'm not a very big wine drinker, so I've never really sat there and be like, oh, this looks nice or whatever, and just like do that. But I know someone who went wine tasting and she didn't realize you were supposed to spit out the wine while you were tasting, so she just kept chugging the wine after wine. So she was just like, woo! She was like super plastered. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? And she's just like, what? And I was like, have you been drinking all of this wine? And then she was just immediately sick. And I was just like, oh, Bob's Burgers gets it. Because I know some people who would do that. And it's just crazy. And I felt, but yeah, no, those noises and whatever Foley and whatever was happening.
Dude,
guys,
I applaud to the Foley department on Bob's Burgers because holy moly, those sounds of him vomiting in the bathroom actually made me ill.
Yeah, no, like seriously, like Emma was eating a great burrito and I was like, man, I'm so hungry. That scene came up, I was like, nope, I'm good.
That was 100% when I stopped eating. I was like, I'm not hungry anymore.
So yeah, another thing that's really great about Bob's Burgers is they just really hit like right on the nose with everything.
They do,
and really awesome.
And the thing that I appreciate too about Bob's Burgers is like they're not afraid to explore those sort of uglier areas of life, like get drinking too much and being sick, or like getting diarrhea from lactose intolerance.
I felt so bad for Steve. Also, divorce is usually a running thing about a lot in Bob's Burgers and in cartoons in general. But like that was a running theme, and how kids can be affected by divorce, and the fact that Xander's a kleptomaniac. I was like, man, throwing in some of those serious tones in there. Bob's Burgers.
Well, I mean, that's the, again, it's like, that's the thing, is like Bob's Burgers, they explore not only just like physically gross kind of things, but also like more uncomfortable, unpleasant sort of topics, but they do it in such a way that it's like, this is just part of life.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't taboo, this isn't bad to talk about. I mean, even Teddy said when Bob brought up like, oh, Steve's coming over, he's divorced, he's like trying to get back out there and be friends with people, and Teddy's like, so what? Everyone's divorced.
Like, what's new about this? Doesn't make him so special. I'm divorced. And I was like, oh, Teddy, I think you're my teddy bear, and it's fine.
I know.
But he came in and helped out at the very end, but we'll get to that.
He did, yeah. So let's talk a little more about Gayle, since we were sort of touching on Mr. Frond, which was a major part of her storyline. So Gayle, I wrote down some great quotes from her. So first of all,
she was so good this episode.
Shows up to this dinner party that Bob is having in an absolute panic, and she's talking about her requirements for a mate and why she's like real happy about this mystery date that's showing up. And she says, he's a man, he has a face, he can go outside.
Those are her requirements. Yep. I think those are great. I know some people who have extremely high requirements, and I would rather them take it down to Gayle style. Just saying.
I'm going to say, this is the thing though. So another great quote from Gayle in this scene. She said, I've never been on a second date before that the other person knew about.
I know, I was like, oh, Gayle. And I love how Linda described Gayle as like, she's one more dead cat away from living in with us. And Bob immediately was like, yeah, your mother's right. Yeah. Also, I know that we're not going to get into it completely, but Linda really stepped it up as a mom this time.
Oh, she did.
She brought back like my mom's like thing where she can just literally just be like, look into my eyes. Look at these crazy eyes. And I'm like, oh my God, it's my mother.
Well, and we saw Tina employ that same tactic with Louise at the end of the episode.
Favorite scene out of the whole episode was Tina not saying a freaking word and just literally just staring at Tina at Louise, and Louise just freaking out and going, okay. And she actually cursed a lot. I mean, Louise usually curses.
She does.
But she was like, it was like one right after the other, and I was like, okay, Louise means business on this one. She felt really bad.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she absolutely did, because she sabotaged Gayle's one chance of happiness.
And I'm like, give it to her. Just give it to Gayle. It's fine.
Now, the one thing I will say is that obviously, Gayle is this crazy cat lady character, but I think that, I feel like there is a little bit of Gayle in me.
Yeah. Well, not you. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people who are like Gayle.
But this scene just really resonated with me, where she was like freaking out about a second date, because I don't know, I've been there before, where when you really like somebody and you've not had too many terribly successful relationships.
No, and I completely agree with you. To be honest, for a lot of people, dating in LA is hard.
Yeah.
I know a lot of my friends who are currently single, and it's just like getting to even the second or third date is just like leaping over mountains.
Yeah.
And then eventually I find out, we've been dating for 6 months. I'm like, oh my God, congratulations, that's amazing.
Yeah, I feel like people in LA tend to like, if it is going well, you don't hear about it, because everyone's so terrified it's not going to.
Yeah, they think it's like taboo or bad luck to talk about. They're like, oh no, it's nothing big. We just, we've only gone on like a couple dates. I'm like, what? And he's like, no, don't make a big deal about it. Please, please, please. I'm like, okay, all right. I'm sorry.
So I just felt like that this episode in general, in this scene, and also in a lot of the stuff that was going on with Bob and Steve, just really captured that sort of anxiety of going into a new relationship, of trying to establish a new relationship, be it romantic or friend.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I have the worst time trying to make friends, and I know a lot of people are like, what, you're so smiley and approachable. I'm like, I am like screaming on the inside. I love how Linda was helping Bob out by like, maybe you should try playing hard to get.
I know.
Do that. And he's like, yeah, you want this, you can't have it. That kind of thing. And Linda's like, woo.
Yeah.
So like, I go through that same thing of like, does this person like me? We've been talking at this party for a while. I don't know, maybe should we exchange Facebooks? I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I like how she was like, hide me. No, don't hide me. That's give me a makeover quick.
Gayle, when Mr. Frond first showed up. And then on top of that, that was just a very, again, exaggerated yet very heavily based in reality moment. And then to see the two of them at this dinner party, and Linda forcing Mr. Front to drink, which
that was a bit rough. I was like, all right, Linda, let's bring it back a little bit. You're putting too much on there, but
but ultimately, I mean, we see Gayle and Philip, which is Mr. Front's first name.
Oh God, I forgot that his first name is Philip. Okay, okay.
Just really connecting on their sort of weird,
so cute.
Yeah, like they're really kind of adorable together.
Yeah, they both like rules, and he says your rules rule. That's when I was like, I need to throw up stuff to happen now because it's happening.
Yeah, in my mouth.
Yeah, and then the fact that he screams into his pillow sometimes, and then she cries
into a loaf of bread.
Yeah. I'm like, and they're just like, and I love how he was just like, aw, and then just Louise just screaming. Like, I would be screaming on the inside, but she actually was screaming, and then Linda was just yelling at her, like, go back over there and, you know, come back with a smile, and no words coming out of it. And they're like, good. Yeah, because you know how parents are. They like to talk through their teeth if they're angry.
They do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
Angry parents. No, I was just going to say that it was so it was interesting to see them connecting so well. This is Gayle and Mr. Frond in that moment where they're all waiting around for dinner to be ready.
Yeah.
And then, like, as the night went on and after Amor, por favor.
Oh my God. That song was so genius.
And that basically both of them thought that the other one didn't like them.
Yeah, it's just, it became instant, and people are like, oh, that seems exaggerated. I'm like, no, people go through that. Especially if you're like, you don't know this person, you don't know how the night goes, because you could think it's going well, and then next thing you know, you either don't get a text back, or they're like, oh yeah, I didn't like her very much. And you're like, oh, there it is. There's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
Give me a makeover quick.
Yeah. Well, and again, it goes back to basically, you know, what ended up being sort of the solution to all of everything in this episode, which was just communication. It was all about misperceptions.
Yeah.
Particularly in the case of Gayle and Mr. Frond, where, you know, we have Gayle being on the couch like, I can't get the English version of that Spanish song out of my head.
Gayle's so ridiculous.
I'm going to die alone. And meanwhile, you know, Mr. Frond is throwing up in the bathroom going, I'm going to die alone.
Yeah, I'm just going to nip myself a wife. I was like, no, don't say that. I think that you're weird, but you and Gayle could be weird together.
Yeah. Which, you know, ultimately, it's like the message kind of was, you know, there is somebody that's exactly your kind of weird.
Exactly. For everybody. You will find that somebody. And again, as much as, like, we didn't really, like, portray that tonight, but, like, you can also be alone and it wouldn't be...
And it wouldn't be terrible. Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah. So, but in this instance, it's just because Gayle's just like, I've already tried this and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to lose someone who I thought...
liked me, and
and that's rough. Hit me right in the feels.
Oh, it hits me right in the feels too. Because I think that, you know, on some level, we've all been there. Certainly not to the exaggerated level of people making yarn dolls of us.
I mean, it's cute, and then there's just times where you're like, that's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Just a tiny bit.
Yeah, the whole dead grandma thing.
Yeah, you didn't have to tell me that. You could have just been like, oh, I made you a doll, and I'm like, oh, that's so cute. You didn't have to be like, and it was also by my dead grandmother's shawl.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that's where you ruined it a little bit. Sorry.
Yep. So before we talk about how everybody starts talking to each other and resolves all their problems, let's talk about Bob and Steve.
Bob and Steve, man, that was a weird roller coaster ride tonight at dinner. I didn't really know what to go with on that one.
Well, because basically what it is, you know, Bob is planning this dinner party that they're gonna have, and it's a big deal because Gayle is bringing a date. And Steve, Bob's new friend, is coming over. What do they call him? Interesting guy?
Yeah, because every time when, I guess, Steve spoke, Bob would just say interesting.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, Teddy would have, like, a giant fit over it.
Yeah.
Felt really bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and Teddy was obviously a huge component of Bob's story as well, because it was about Teddy feeling kind of snubbed as a friend, and Bob maybe giving some undue attention to Steve.
Yeah, again, another adult thing that we all go through sometimes when you meet new people and you have a good friend that you've had, you know, they just feel like, oh, this person's pushing me out because they want this new person because they have a lot in common or whatever, even though Steve and Bob did not have anything in common.
No, not really, except that they both had children.
I think that was it.
Yeah,
he just thought that he just thought his job was super cool and that he was extremely interesting, and Teddy was just like, I'm not interesting, what's happening?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and ultimately, and again, it's that whole perception thing of Bob thinks that Steve is so interesting, but Steve's really not all that interesting.
No, I mean, he even said, because he thought, because he works as
archaeologist.
Yes, he's like, oh, he's like Indiana Jones. He's like, no, that's far from it. What was the example? He said that it was archaeology with Indiana Jones is like a prostitute, like it's like
with Pretty Woman.
Yeah,
to which Gayle was like, which character in Pretty Woman was a prostitute?
And then Jean was like, all of them, honey. And she's like, oh. I was like,
Jean.
oh, Gayle.
Oh,
That's adorable.
man. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, so you'll be, exactly. It's like Bob is like he's basically putting all of his eggs in one basket with this friendship.
Just this one guy that he met once.
Yeah. But again, it's that allegory for relationships, and it applies to friendships, but it certainly applies to romances, where you meet somebody who you just think is so fascinating, and you aren't really interested in them, you're interested in your perception of them.
I know, and it hurts.
Oh, it hurts so
bad.
much.
But yeah, like when he bought expensive wine.
I
He wanted to
know.
make this great pot roast with this cream.
Yeah, the like short
sauce.
rib or whatever he was making. Yeah, and didn't even think. Again, once again, it's like your perception of somebody. They have these exquisite, expensive kind of tastes, and so you just do what the person you've made up you think would like.
Oh my god, and just go all out. And even he was like, oh yeah, it was really expensive. And like Linda's like, Bob, just turn it down a notch.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, we can't like stop.
Yeah.
That's
But I
crazy.
think we've all done that too, where it's like when you want to impress somebody,
You go all out.
Yeah, you're at an 11 the whole time.
The whole time, and you're just like, and like if you have other friends there or something, they're like,
Yeah.
who are you? Like,
Yep.
What is happening?
Yeah, because it's true, because you then try to turn into the version of you that you think that they would like.
Yeah, or that you would see together. So you're like, oh, if this guy likes this really cool wine, I'm going to buy like a bunch of it, or I'm going to drink it, but then it could be really gross. But it's like, no, this person likes this. I'm going to force myself to do a thing that I've never done before.
Yeah, right. And again, as you mentioned
Yikes.
earlier, Alexis, we see Linda trying to coach Bob through it, being like, oh, you need to ignore him a little and like calm down. And we see Teddy trying to use that tactic on Bob, being like, oh, I'm going to hang out with Charlie from the Union. Charlie, he's great.
Oh, he called me. Oh, haha. And like Bob's like, I didn't hear
Your phone didn't ring.
Yeah. And then like how he was sending like passive aggressive text messages like, oh, sorry, that was for Charlie.
Yes. Have you ever done that or thought about that? Like when somebody hasn't, not even necessarily if somebody hasn't texted you back, but like when you want to text somebody and you're like, oh, they really need to text me.
Yep, I've definitely been there. I've been that crazy person where when I was in high school, I really liked this guy and he finally gave me his number and I was like, okay. Shoot, should I text him? He hasn't texted me in a few days. What do I do? Oh. And then my friend's like, just pretend like you're texting me or something. I'm like, okay. And so I sent like a text and he's like, no, this is, I can't remember his name. and I was like, oh no, sorry. He's like, oh, is this Alexis? Hey. And I was like, it worked. And I'm not very proud of that, guys. So please don't hold that on my
Yeah, that's not something we recommend that you do. But
no, please don't.
But
please
if you've done it, we're saying it's fine.
Yeah, I did it one time and I will never do it again because I felt really terrible after that. Also, I was like 13, so I'm gonna let that one go.
Yeah, but it was really, again, it was just so real to see Teddy
very jealous and upset.
Yeah, and using coping mechanisms that we use in real life to try to deal with that.
I know, it was kind of crazy
Yeah.
to see, but I also I know that Teddy really cares about Bob.
He
so,
does.
I mean,
he does.
I've never seen him eat any other type of food except for Bob's Burgers.
I know.
So I was like, oh, Teddy, you're awesome.
Yeah, no, Teddy's a great friend to Bob, and ultimately it's Teddy who's sort of the catalyst for everybody having really honest conversations.
Yep.
And strengthening their relationships and resolving all of the misperceptions that were happening throughout this episode.
No, I completely agree with you.
Because when Steve is struggling with the fact that he had some creme fraiche and is severely lactose intolerant.
That was crazy. He was immediately like, I'm sorry, is there cream in this? And literally he got up and he's like, nope, we gotta go find a bathroom when there's not a man
in.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And he really didn't like when people were talking to him while he was in the bathroom.
That was funny. Because I don't like. This is very strange. I feel like I have a love-hate relationship with people talking to me when I'm in the bathroom. It can be really awkward.
It can, but then sometimes it kind of just happens.
Yeah,
especially women. Yeah, sometimes we go to the bathroom together. We're in the stalls next to each other, and it's just like, oh man, did you see that thing that happened on the Oscars last night? Oh my god! And you're just like, yeah, totally. And you guys are just totally using the bathroom together.
Yeah,
just like. It's a little weird.
I know. I sort of want to, because I feel like it's like different for guys, because they all just kind of stand up and pee together.
Yeah, so it's just like you're looking at each other and you're like, this is weird. But with girls, there's a giant wall there. You see only your shoes. It's a thing. It's a weird relationship.
And then you still carry on a conversation. I don't know. I feel like there was, again, a little of that.
So funny.
I feel like a lot of what Bob, the behavior that was being displayed by Bob and Teddy in this episode in particular was very sort of characteristic of teenage girls.
No,
and I don't mean that in a negative way at all.
No, because I totally can see Bob and Teddy being like me and my best friend Sarah.
Yeah.
Like, the two of us are like that all the time. Where like when after Teddy found out like, hey, why are you sitting here by yourself in the restaurant? And he, explained it. And he's like, what? Is he in there? Is he in there? You don't deserve my Bobby. Like, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like a best friend would do that, or a girlfriend or boyfriend would do that for you if they truly cared about you.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah. I think that's a really good. I think that's a compliment.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, and I mean, and Teddy going to town with the compliments for Bob and just yelling at Steve was
while he's in the bathroom. For God's sake, poor guy sitting there having the worst night of his life.
But it was great. You know what I mean? It was really nice to see just that really genuine friendship.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And he even let them make up at the very end. Yeah. And he got in there on a group hug. It was great.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, and Steve, because of Teddy being so open and honest, in turn was very honest himself, being like, I've been a little standoffish tonight. It's a weird time coming back from the divorce.
Yeah, which was a very running theme. He just kept saying that over and over. He's like, since the divorce, and I'm trying to do this because of the divorce, and I'm also reading a book about making friends after the divorce. And I was like, wow, this was really hard on you, Sarah. Yeah, that sucks.
I semi want to meet his ex-wife character.
Just to see like what happened.
Yeah, I'm very curious. Yeah,
because it looked like it just. I mean, divorce is no joke, guys. I'm not gonna make light of it, but like. It seemed like there was a giant story that we did not get, and I would like to see what happened.
Yeah. At the same time, it's like if they don't come back, I'm not gonna be heartbroken, but they definitely set up some interesting characters with Steve and with Xander.
Oh my God,
who was really kind of the villain in this episode.
Oh, he was just I mean, mind you guys, he is 10 years old. 10-year-olds sometimes can be little jerks.
That is true.
It can happen. I'm not saying all of them are.
No.
Like, you're in that weird stage of being a preteen before you become a teenager, but you're still a child, and it's just strange for some boys. Yeah. And he was just kind of a jerk.
Yep.
Especially when he was stomping.
Yeah, so basically, Louise stole the doll. They hid the doll. Mr. Frann had a freak out because the doll was missing. Because as he was getting drunker and feeling like things weren't going well between he and Gayle, his tactic to be like, love me, was to give her the yarn doll.
Yeah.
So he went to go to get the yarn doll and it was gone. So his whole world is falling apart.
Yeah.
And Linda.
Oh my God, that scene was so scary. It was literally my mother.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, just straight up, literally just like, look into my eyes, Louise, look into them. Are they crazy enough? Like, you need to find this doll or you're going to be doing chores for whatever. And I was just like, oh my God.
Yep.
I've never seen Linda this upset before.
Yep. And she's trying not to get her sister to move in with her.
I don't blame her. Gail's awesome, but there are times you're just like, no,
yeah,
Gayle.
I don't think I'd want to live with Gayle.
Nope. Especially after that. Was it Thanksgiving or Christmas where he had to like drag her through the snow?
Yeah, Thanksgiving.
No, not doing that.
Yeah,
not doing that again.
Nope.
But yeah, it was really cool to see Linda put on her mom pants like hardcore and really dig into both Tina, Louise, and Jean about their tactics.
Yep. So. And we see the first sort of step of Louise's moral dilemma where she really was going to get the doll and give it back, but she realized that the doll was gone.
Because we had a kleptomaniac running around in the house named Xander.
So Xander took the doll.
I love how Louise was just like, your pockets are your shorts.
Your cargo shorts.
They're looking a little full there, buddy. And he's like, oh, thank you. And I was like, oh, whoa. You're 10. You should know that. But also, all right.
It's the subtle humor that we see in Bob's Burgers a lot of the time.
I can totally see my little brothers being like, what? And just me and my mom and my dad just cracking up.
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah, that's the thing is that, overall, this is definitely a show that's for adults, but a lot of the jokes would just, if you were a kid watching this, you would just go,
yep, and you'd be like, what? What does that mean? Why are Mom and Dad laughing so hard? Dad, did a spit take. What's happening?
Yeah, but he took the doll, and they're chasing after him, and they're like, you got to empty your pockets. So he does exactly what they asked and empties his pockets just all over the streets.
Into a storm drain. I was just like, rude much? He had a bunch of little knickknacks, but he had Bob's spatula, Linda's necklace, and the doll, and like a bunch of other things.
I thought Louise used the spatula and the necklace. Oh no! She first, he had you're right.
Yeah, because it was just there, I think, and she used the necklace and the spatula or something to get the doll out. Oh no, she used the
clomper, the grabber, which was confiscated from her at the beginning of the episode. Again, really good writing where they introduced this grabber and it came back in the end.
Yeah, and I'm sad that Mr. Frog didn't get to see this whole thing happen because he was obviously still in the bathroom
throwing up.
But I love how that was the first thing she did. She's like, oh, well, I can't break them up, but I can grab my grabber, which I think it was called a Bucci Gumi grabber. And I was like, what the crap? I didn't even know they had like brands. Okay. And and that's when she found the doll.
I thought of it as some sort of weird little like anime character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a Doraemon kind of thing.
Yeah, I would have been totally fine with it because I'm like, oh yeah, I'd probably buy one of those, But I love how the fact that it came all back around full frickin' circle and used it to get the doll out, which was extremely gross when she did take that out.
Yeah.
But what was the bargain for the doll?
Oh, the bargain for the doll was that Xander was going to, first of all, the initial bargain that Louise had tried to make in exchange for Xander confessing that he was the one stealing the doll. Because initially when the doll gets knocked down the storm drain, Louise is thrilled. She's like, I don't see anything wrong with this.
Yeah, I got what I want.
Yep. Mr. Frond is never going to be able to give Gayle the stupid doll. I got my grabber back. He's not going to be part of my life. This is great.
Yeah.
And it's even better because I'm not going to get grounded because I didn't steal the doll. Xander stole the doll.
And Xander's like, why would I confess? I can't do that weird thing that he does, but yes.
Yep. But yes, the reason that he was supposed to confess is because he was going to get to kiss Tina.
There it is. I was like, what was the bargain? And I was like, oh, it was to kiss Tina. And this is when Tina literally went silent but deadly on this one.
Yep.
If you guys could see this scene, I really hope that you guys go back and watch it. It's literally, I love it because there was no change.
No.
She was literally just staring at Louise, and Louise was just blurting, like word vomiting, like, oh, that was a terrible pun, but like, she was sitting there and like she was just blurting out stuff of what Tina would be saying if she was actually saying words. That was crazy.
Yep.
Favorite scene.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And as I mentioned earlier, again, it was cool to see that parallel between mom, Linda, and daughter, Tina.
Yeah, because the fact that she is the oldest. And even Tina was like, all right, Tina, take it, like, you're being a little harsh. Like, I love that you could tell that they were siblings. I love how Xander was like, what just happened?
Yeah, Xander had no idea what was happening. But I did think it was very funny when they brought up the kissing bargain, and Xander's like, okay, but no tongue. I'm only 10 years old. I'm not ready yet.
Yeah, like that kind of stuff. Because I was like, yeah, if he's like this Mr. Confident with his lips and stuff, I knew when we were in junior high or even 5th grade. Yeah. That's usually where the time frame is, that people weren't doing the making out thing.
No.
So that's like, that terrified me as a kid. Because I was like, yeah, I'm not ready for that. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it means when there's tongue, or when you watch a movie like your parents are watching.
Yeah,
and you sneak over and watch it, like, ew, gross.
Yeah, and even still, it's like, I mean, we've seen Tina sort of grow up throughout the seasons to the point that now she's sort of more comfortable with the kissing thing, as we saw when she had her pseudo Banksy boyfriend.
Whoa! I still get, like, I can just feel my stomach tightening because that was gross.
That was terrible kissing.
Again, congratulations, Foley, whoever you are, artist, person, because the noises are the worst part.
The sound effects in this are on point.
Oh god, just thinking about it just gives me chills. It's in the worst kind of way.
Yep.
But anyway,
so Louise it caves under Tina's intense glare, and she rescues the doll, and she knew exactly how to get it with the grabber.
Everybody comes out.
Exactly, everybody comes outside, and she gives Gayle the doll, and it's like, look at me, I'm the hero, Louise, I did the right thing. The thing is that what I like about Louise is, like, she's consistent as a character, where she did the right thing.
She did.
But she wasn't really happy about doing the right thing because it didn't really serve what Louise wanted.
Not even close. Nothing in this bargain or this whole accomplishment that she did would benefit her at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. If anything, it would have been better if it ended the way that she had envisioned it, and Tina, with her eyes, hadn't convinced her otherwise.
I'm never going to be able to get that out of my head. It's
just Tina glaring.
Just staring at you with no emotion.
Yeah, if you guys are listening,
iTunes listeners,
I'm glaring into my camera as if I were Tina.
Please go to youtube.com, find AfterBuzz TV, look up Bob's Burgers, and just look at Emma staring at you with that. If you've done something wrong, Emma's just gonna have that.
Exactly, just have that vision in your brain and think about doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Well, and I liked that at the end of the episode, Tina said to Louise, "You did the right thing."
Yeah.
Of course, she told her in a very awkward scenario wherein Gayle and Mr. Frond realized that both of them were wrong because as we were talking about earlier, Mr. Frond thought that Gayle didn't like him. Gayle thought that Mr. Frond didn't like her,
which is so silly to me, right? Because they're perfect for each other.
Oh no, they're great. They're great for each other, and they realize that they're perfect for each other, and again, it's the sound effects.
It was so crazy because you knew what he was doing in that bathroom, and he even explained. He's like, "I'm sorry, I know that me throwing up and crying in this bathroom is not very,
I'm not gonna get a third date.
I'm not gonna get a third date." And she the animation even changes a little bit before this scene, and she grabs him and just her tongue came all the way out, and I was like, "I'm done. I can't watch this. I can't do it. This is crazy." I'm so happy for Gayle and Mr. Frond, but that scene was too much. I had to tap out. I was like, "I'm done. I can't do it." And I love how Louise was just like, "I don't want to stand here.
Yeah, let's leave.
It's like, I can't.
She's like, "Thank you, Tina, but can we not talk about this here?"
Yeah, and I was just like, "Yeah, I agree with you because this is disgusting. But again, I love is love. That's great. But no, can't do it."
So
congratulations, Gayle. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, definitely. I'm disgusted, but I'm thrilled.
I'm sorry, iTunes listeners, you had to hear us pretty much half vomit these microphones. Yep. Oh my god.
Any other things that you want to talk about before we dive into some predictions as they were?
No, we can totally get in
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I did like that apparently Mr. Frond smells like pencils because he works at a school.
Smells like pencils.
I love it because when Steve comes in the first time, she's like, "I'm here on a date. He'll be here in a minute. Yeah. He smells like pencils," and they're like, "Okay, Gayle."
Yeah, and then he prefers to refer to himself as an emotion coach.
Oh my god!
Rather than a guidance counselor. So I don't know what sort of themes and things do you think they might explore in subsequent episodes in this season?
I don't know. I'm just glad that it's back.
Yeah,
but I'm really hoping that we find. I mean, I miss Jimmy Jr., so I want to see more of him.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're due for another Tina and Jimmy Jr. storyline.
Yeah, because for a while we had our Banksy look-alike, which was really really fun. And that
in that episode, and that episode did kind of end with Jimmy Jr. seeming like, hey, I might kind of be into Tina.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I was like, wait a minute. So if Jimmy Jr. has finally seen that, oh my gosh, Tina is having affections for somebody else who is a terrible kisser, might I add. But I would like to see more of that. Maybe Jimmy Jr. maybe trying a little bit more to get Tina, and then Tina's just like, what's happening? Yeah. I don't know what's happening. I just had a really serious relationship and it kind of went to crap. I'm not ready for you yet.
And we've now also had 2 episodes in a row that ultimately were about Louise deciding to do the right thing.
Yes.
So I'm wondering what we're going to see from her in terms of her growth as a character. Yeah, is she going to come into... Is she going to, without any pressure, make the decision to do the right thing on her own?
I would hope so. Maybe someone's really in trouble, especially one of the siblings, either Jean or Tina, and I really want Louise to just really step up on that one. I'm not saying that she will, but I would like to see that. I think I kind of want to see, we usually get a lot of Bob and Linda kind of growing in some weird fashion as an adult and stuff, but I want to see more from the kids.
Yeah, because I think that the kids especially now are all, and the show's been on for 5 years now,
it's crazy
I think.
To me.
At least 4, and the kids are now at a point in the show where, okay, and again, the thing that's really brilliant about Bob's Burgers is it's never been sort of a one joke show. You know, even though this is absolutely a super episodic show, you don't have to see every single episode to understand and appreciate what's going on. But there is definitely like a richness to it if you watch all of the episodes and you see it. You know, again, I brought up the example of Tina from earlier where, you know, she started off very much as like a young teenager, kind of just in her fantasizing about the idea of, you know, kissing and things like that. And then she's a sexual being. And now we see her like actually physically exploring that. So it's,
which is awesome. Yeah. It also, because of the fact that it's been 5 years again, I know it's not like a Stewie situation where like we don't know how old he is or if he grows. Right. But like I feel like you can tell that these characters have matured, and I feel like with Jean and Tina and Louise, even though Tina has had a lot of story arc, I feel like it's time for them to not just be these kids in the background just saying these really cool one-liners that just kind of come out. I want to see like a fully developed story. It is. I mean, and that is, you know, the thing that I like about the kids is, you know, we've seen all these stories of, okay, we're the kids, we're the siblings, we're supporting each other, but now I think we're starting to get more storylines of the kids sort of growing into adults. Yeah, at least a little bit. It doesn't have to be super fast. No, of course not. Like maybe like Tina, like thinking about not like college immediately, but like I want to take some college courses. Then she meets like a college boy or something, that would totally be in character for Tina. Or something, or like Louise, like going into the fact of like, okay, I want to see what, you know. I mean, technically they are technically in the same school or the same area of the school. I want to see Louise kind of like seeing what the older kids are doing, even though she hates everybody and people in general, but maybe she finds that one person that like really gets her. And she's like, I'm so excited to get into high school because it would be really nice to see Louise really connect with somebody. Exactly. And whether it doesn't have to be a love interest, I don't really care. I just want her to have somebody who's just as crazy and weird and psychotic as Louise is. That would be nice. And then Gene, I don't care what he gets into because he's just amazing. He's magical. Yeah. We are overdue for a Linda episode though. Yes. That's what I was saying. I'm rewatching it on Netflix. And I love when Linda does the band gets back together. I want one of those episodes back. Or like when she did the musical theater thing. You know what I'm talking about with the burglar that comes in. Oh my god, that episode was amazing. I just watched that before I got here, and I was like, this episode is amazing. I want more Linda stuff. Yep. Because she's when great. They do the musical in the restaurant. Oh, it's so good. The musical Burgers. Murder mystery. Yes, and it was great, and I love that. I think my favorite thing I would like, it doesn't have to happen this season, but whenever it happens, I want Linda to try out for some musical that's in town that's coming in as an understudy, and she gets the role, and she just fucking blows it out the water. They curse on the show. It's fine, guys. But like she blows it out the water, and she's fantastic. Is what I'm saying. So I was so excited because I love Linda so much. I want to see more from her. Yeah. No, I mean it's just it's such a great show, and it's so great that it's back, and I'm just really excited to. I'm ready for new adventures. Belcher family adventure. I'm ready to see the continuing adventures of the Belcher clan. Oh my god, it's great. Yep. So that's gonna bring this episode of the Bob's Burgers After Show to a close. Alexis, where can people find you on the internet? You can find me all over social media at ATORS890. You can also follow me here all over AfterBuzz because I'm usually the voice of chat or the voice of the booth, but you can also find me here on Castle, Supernatural. We're having a watch-along for Galaxy Quest coming up on Wednesday. Also, before we continue, that something cast in the chat says the image of Emma glaring is now my phone lock screen. We did it, Internet! Yay! We did it! Okay, Emma, where can they find your beautiful face? I'm Emma Fyffe. You can find me all over the internet at my name, Emma Fyffe, EMMAFYFFE. If you're listening, those are all F's as in Fred, no S's as in snake. They tend to sound the same on the phone or when you say them into a microphone that gets recorded and then transmitted into people's ears. Thank you, Something Cast, for that. I actually was just a guest host on the Something Cast. Myself and Meredith Placco joined them to talk about the Doctor Who Christmas special and also the like oldie-timey Sherlock thing. We had some opinions, so you should check that out if you want to give that a listen. You can also see me on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzzTV.com. Face Off. Agent Carter comes back on Tuesday. What else am I doing? Star Wars Rebels comes back on Wednesday. So many shows coming back right now. I don't even know. The 100 for me on Thursday. I love the 100 so much. Sorry. Okay. And again, Alexis and I will be doing a watch along for Galaxy Quest on Wednesday on the Popcorn Talk, which
which is one of our affiliate networks here, in honor of the late and great Alan Rickman.
I
was
cry.
honored enough to do a David Bowie tribute with Labyrinth last week, and this week it'll be Alan Rickman. So again, thank you so much, you guys, for joining us. Remember, you can always use that hashtag ABTVBobsby to continue to talk to us throughout the week, your lives, etc. And we will be back next week, same place, same time, with another episode of the Bob's Burgers After Show.
Wow, bye guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.